This could genuinely have huge implications for Thorpe Park going forward. It's been a very, very long time since we've had this much stuff happening. Now, if we're talking tinfoil hat, major conspiracy here, there could be a new ride. What's up guys, I hope you're all well. Welcome back to yet another video on the channel, and today we've got some really exciting stuff to talk about in regards to Thorpe Park Resort. Now, it's been a very, very long time since I've been this excited to talk about stuff in regards to Thorpe Park, probably pre-hype period to be honest, but there's been a whole range of stuff that's been happening over the last few months at Thorpe Park, as well as stuff that is going to be happening pretty much in the immediate future. So yeah, I'm going to discuss that and so much more in today's video, so if you do go on to enjoy it, make sure to like and subscribe down below. It's absolutely meant the world to me, the amount of support that you guys have been giving me on YouTube. It's been really, really nice to see. So yeah, if you do enjoy it, feel free to. And yeah, without further ado, I think it's time to get into the video. So like I said at the top, there's some pretty huge things coming to Thorpe Park really, really soon, but there's also a lot of stuff that's going to be happening in the future. Now, for the first kind of segment of this video, I'm going to focus on talking about the stuff we know and what's happening right now, and then as we go through the video, I'm going to progressively kind of get a bit more tinfoil hat on, speculation wise, trying to figure out what these things that are happening now are going to mean for the future of Thorpe Park, and you'll find it's pretty exciting, I think. Okay, so I'll kind of start off with what's been happening literally over the last few weeks. A lot of you may know that Slammer is gone. It's not here anymore. Now, this isn't exactly new news, but obviously this has kind of been a process that's been happening over the course of close season this year, or last year as well, technically, if you want to count that. And it's kind of been up in the air what's going to happen to it, when it's going to happen, and all of a sudden, literally, like over the course of this month, it's been completely decommissioned, completely dismantled, and it's now off somewhere, a junkyard somewhere, I'd imagine. But obviously this is a huge thing for Thorpe Park. This has kind of been SB&O for years now. If you don't know what SB&O means, that means standing but not operating. So what that basically means is the ride isn't running anymore, but it's still there. I'd say it's kind of been the most prominent ride that's been SB&O in the UK for a long time, so to see it finally go is quite an achievement, I think, and it's really exciting. And I'll kind of get into what I think is going to happen with the kind of area that Slammer's in just a second, but I thought it was something, you know, worth mentioning before I get into kind of the nitty-gritty stuff. Okay, so moving on to talk about some of the stuff we actually know about now. Obviously, if you guys have been keeping up to date with Thorpe Park and the stuff that's kind of happening around it, you'll know that over the last few months in close season, they have released a lot of plans for stuff. Now, this is something that kind of came out completely of the blue. Of course, we got the plans for the rework of the beach. This is something that we kind of knew was coming anyway, because towards the end of last season, we did see a lot of kind of workers and stuff kind of fiddling about with the beach. We didn't really know what they were doing, but that was kind of an indicator. But what did come completely out of the blue was the brand new hotel plans that were submitted, and this is something that I had talked about a few months ago on the channel, and yeah, we're getting a new hotel potentially at Thorpe Park. This is something that's been a very long time overdue, I think. You know, we've got the Thorpe Shark cabins, but they're just not really that permanent feeling, if that even makes sense. You know, you look at some of the other Merlin hotels, like Splash Landings, you know, like the Legoland hotels, Chess hotels, they're very kind of structurally sound built hotels that you can tell have had a lot of love and effort crafted into. And I'm not saying that the Shark hotels haven't, but obviously ages and ages ago, Snoozebox created these hotels as a kind of stopgap. They weren't exactly a permanent hotel solution. So the fact that Thorpe Park are now investing, hopefully, if the plans go ahead, into a bigger, larger, permanent hotel, I think is a huge thing for Thorpe Park. Now, some of you may know I did kind of go over this sort of thing over in a video I did a few weeks ago, where I obviously went through up to Thorpe Park and walked around Monk's Walk, kind of discussing everything. So if you do want to check that out, that is available on the channel, and I kind of just gloss over it a little bit, but I do kind of want to take the time now to kind of talk about it in a little bit more depth, because I think there's a lot more here than a lot of people realise. I think this could genuinely have huge implications for Thorpe Park going forward, and I don't think a lot of people are talking about it enough. I think there's a very large need for a hotel at Thorpe Park, and with Slammer now gone, like I mentioned earlier, and with the beach getting reworked, and a potential new hotel coming, we could kind of be moving into a phase now with Thorpe Park, after Hyperion has been built last year, that we're now kind of moving into an era where Thorpe Park are going to focus a lot on infrastructure and just general park atmosphere, which I think is kind of needed. I don't think their atmosphere's been terrible, but there's been a lot of things I think at Thorpe Park that definitely need a lot of TLC, and I'm glad that they're now taking the time to do so. Of course, this kind of has a huge implication in terms of when we're going to be getting a new ride, because if they're focusing this much on infrastructure, there's not really a lot of room for them to build another coaster or another ride anytime soon, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, and I'll kind of go over that in a little bit more in depth in a few minutes. But I do think that in terms of the general park kind of TLC that they're doing, this I think marks a good standpoint that they're going to be really leaning into the new brand. Of course, if you don't know, over the last few years Thorpe Park's completely changed their brand. Their logo's different, their kind of slogans are now different, and the park largely looks the same, and I think they're going to kind of move to change that over the next few years, maybe kind of leaning more into that brand and kind of implementing it across the park a little bit more, and I think that will kind of be at its strongest with the new hotel. Of course, you know, a lot of the other Merlin hotels have had a theme, or a kind of theme to some kind of adventure. You know, like got the Splash Landings hotels, got the water park theme. The Alton Towers hotels kind of got the Explorer theme. I think this one's going to be the first Merlin hotel that's just kind of a hotel that has Thorpe Park stuff in it. Kind of like how the dome's kind of evolved over the last few years. Of course, we got loads of changes to the dome. They removed the theming, we got a brand new screen put up. This was years ago now, but it kind of shows you that this is the direction Thorpe Park's going in. And I think what we're kind of seeing with the dome at the moment, and the kind of modern but kind of upbeat and feel good kind of atmosphere Thorpe Park's got, I think that will translate really well into this hotel. And I do think we'll start to see this a little bit sooner, in a kind of maybe lesser degree, with the beach reef theme. It's going to be really interesting to see how this pans out. Of course, we've got a lot more extensive plans on the beach reef theme, you know, because it's probably going to happen a lot sooner than the hotel will, but it's something that I think is completely welcome, and they're essentially kind of turning the entirety of the beach into a picnic area with a massive stage at the back, kind of on the side that the Swarm is, and then it's just going to kind of be a general hangout spot for maybe families that have brought their kids to Thorpe Park or anything of that kind of sort, and potentially will be a huge hotspot for events going forward, which I think is going to be the most exciting part about this rework. You know, I think when you look at the beach now, it's not really that much of a hotspot. Of course, we had various things feature on the beach, you know, such as, of course, Legacy, which was the fire and light display that was kind of featured for the anniversary of Fright Nights. And I think we could see more of this happen on the beach now, but in a lot more of a solidified and a lot more permanent way. Of course, at the moment, we have a lot of the events kind of taking place in the dockyard, where that stage is at the moment. And I think that stage will end up moving over to this new beach area, and I think this will be a permanent event spot for Thorpe Park. You know, Oktoberfest, we could potentially see, you know, a lot more effort be put into the theming and have it as kind of a general area rather than having to turn the dockyard into, you know, an Oktoberfest area. They can have it as more of a neutral area that they can easily theme to whatever event they want, and I think that's a really exciting prospect, because when you start to think about Fright Nights, I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but I love Fright Nights. It's my favourite UK theme park event, and I do think that there's a lot of cool things they could do with it. You know, we've had a lot of Thorpe Park events, and particularly Fright Nights, that have had these kind of big themed areas in the dockyard. You know, we've got Lucifer's Lair most recently in Fright Nights, and I think they could easily have this as a you know, neutral spot, much like how they started talking about the new brand being very adaptable to how they want to use it. I think this new kind of beach area will kind of function the same. Of course, it's not a logo, but it will be built in a way that it kind of is very easily adaptable into whatever they want. They can maybe switch out pieces, they can maybe, you know, use the kind of area to their advantage here, and I think it's going to be an interesting thing to explore, because that kind of thing isn't going to translate on the plans. That'll only start to come through when we start to get a bit more information as it's starting to be built. But I do think it's going to be a very adaptable area, and I think we're going to see a lot of event stuff happening on this new beach, which is really, really exciting. So with kind of all the concrete stuff that we know out of the way now, I do want to kind of talk about what we're going to be seeing in the future, because it's been a very, very long time since we've had this much stuff happening at Thorpe Park. and I think that there is definitely a reason for that. Like I said, we've had Slammer being removed. There's a complete kind of up in the air discussion about what's going to happen with that area now. You know, of course, are any of the other rides safe? Are they going to remove anything else? And I think that's a very interesting question, because I think Thorpe Park will definitely think about taking other rides out. I think particularly things like Depth Charge and Storm Surge, as much as I love them both, I think Thorpe Park will kind of look at these areas and go, right, what's an eyesore here? What can we kind of remove and kind of, you know, refine out? And I think there's a lot of reason to believe that they might be thinking about that, you know, for a lot of other attractions. But kind of moving over to the Slammer side of things, I think there's a lot of possibilities we could see here. I think the most likely possibility will be that this will be turned into just more open space around the Hyperia area. Of course, last Fright Nights we got Deadbeat within the Black Mirror Labyrinth building, you know, and the kind of queue line winding around Slammer, much like Black Mirror Labyrinth did. So I think having this kind of more open area will help that, not only, but it'll also open up a lot more space when Hyperia gets busy, and particularly during Fright Nights that kind of became a bit of an issue. Not so much as I was kind of expecting, but it would be nice to have that area a lot more open, so that if there are any problems that arise, then it's an easy kind of overspill area. Now, if we're talking tinfoil hat, major conspiracy here, there could be a new ride. We could easily see a new ride here. There's been a lot of kind of rumours over the last year or so about Thorpe Park putting a Hyperia themed flat ride. Particularly, there was a few patents for some names that kind of cropped up through the kind of account that was submitted, you know, from the same people that submitted the Hyperia trademark, so it was kind of understandable. This could be for Thorpe Park, and they did kind of have a bit of a Hyperia theme to them. But yeah, there's a lot of discussion. They could kind of tweak the Walking Dead, the ride building, to maybe have a bigger roller coaster. Maybe they could make a bigger ride there. But I don't really want to talk about that too much, because I think that is a little bit too far. I don't want to stretch it too much. As much as that would be very exciting, I do think that we can't get tamper expectations, because I'm not sure that they're going to move straight into something like that so soon after making Hyperia. And with a lot of the kind of hotel and the beach plans now, I think they're going to sideline any new rides for the future in favour of the infrastructure stuff, and that's why I think that that's kind of going to be their plan with the Slammer area. Like I said, open it up a bit, maybe put some theming in there, some benches, and I think it would just kind of overall make the area a lot more nicer. So yeah, they're kind of my predictions for the next decade at Thorpe Park. I think that we're going to see a lot of this stuff happening over the next 10 years, particularly the hotel if it goes ahead, the beach rework, whatever they're going to do with Slammer. I think it'll all be infrastructure based, and I think it'll all be about making the park experience a lot more seamless. I think that's something Thorpe Park's always had the lesser edge on in comparison to things like Alton Towers. It always kind of feels like everything's bunched together and it's really cramped in some areas of Thorpe Park. So I think they're going to be taking that into consideration. They're going to be implementing a lot more refurbishments around the park. You know, with this beach rework, there's going to be a lot more kind of traffic that's going to be put over to that area, you know, taking it away from other areas of the park. And I think it will be a nice thing to look at when you're kind of coming out of the dome. You've got this brand new beach area that's there. I think they're going to kind of go down that route, and honestly, I'm not really that bothered about it. I think it's really great that we got Hyperia, and you know, I think there's a lot of stuff that needs doing on that side of things, and I'd rather have that than a new ride. And then yeah, maybe, who knows, they might end up building a new roller coaster within the next 10 years, but yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting one for sure. So yeah, like I said at the beginning, if you did go on to enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe. I'm hoping to get a few more videos out over the next few weeks. Of course, close season ends very soon. I was going to try and get pass holder day tickets, and I did manage to get the tickets, but I then realised I was on holiday that weekend. So yeah, I'm not going to be able to do a vlog on pass holder day, unfortunately, but I will be there opening day with a bit of luck. And I'll film a nice vlog for you guys when that happens. So if you're excited for that, definitely like and subscribe. If not, it's fine, it don't matter, I won't take it personally. So yeah, without further ado guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a brilliant rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next video. See ya.